I just said yes, and after that, my screams were silenced. That line isn't just a sentence, it's a scream from the soul. And if you've ever trusted someone who betrayed you, if you've ever walked into a moment thinking you were safe, only to realize you were walking into darkness, then this isn't just a story. This is your story. But what if I told you that science is finally catching up to what the Quran revealed over 1400 years ago? What if I told you that the pain you thought no one saw was already recorded, acknowledged, and answered by a divine source that's never failed, not once? Today, we're about to dive deep into the truth behind one small word: yes. A word that can open doors or trap you in rooms you never asked to enter. But hidden in that moment is a path back to power, to healing, and to God. This isn't just a motivational talk. This is a wake-up call, a lifeline, a warning, a mirror. So don't blink, don't scroll, don't look away. Because what you're about to hear will not only shake your understanding of human choice and divine truth, it just might save your life. Let's begin. The silence of consent is one of the most terrifying realities of human experience. A moment where everything can change, not because someone screamed, resisted, or fought back, but because they simply said yes. That single word, a whisper in the noise of a million conversations, carries with it the weight of consequences that ripple through time, space, and spirit. When someone says yes, without knowledge, without understanding, without readiness, they may unknowingly surrender their will, their safety, their dignity, and in that instant, the world might keep moving forward, indifferent to the internal collapse taking place within. This is the hidden horror of the human condition, that we are sometimes destroyed not by force, but by the false belief that agreement will protect us. That if we comply, if we stay quiet, if we follow the path laid before us by others, we will find peace. But peace does not lie in submission to oppression, nor in the surrender to forces that don't value your soul. Peace is found in truth, in awareness, and in a connection with the divine that illuminates every shadow of deceit and danger. The Quran speaks of this reality in chilling clarity. Time and again, it warns us not to follow blindly, not to trust without verification, not to act without consulting the Creator who knows what lies ahead and behind. It speaks of people who said yes to tyrants, to false gods, to their own desires, and paid the price with their souls. And yet, this story is not just ancient scripture. It's happening today in countless forms, across every generation, in every culture. A girl says yes to someone she trusts only to be silenced forever by betrayal. A boy says yes to a group he wants to belong to, not knowing he's walking into a trap that will consume his future. A worker says yes to a job offer that promises wealth but delivers slavery. A mind says yes to a philosophy that promises freedom but delivers chaos. We say yes every day to people, systems, and temptations that seem harmless. But not every yes leads to light. Some yeses lead to darkness, so thick, even the screams within it go unheard. Modern psychology has begun to catch up to this truth. Consent, it turns out, is not always informed. A person may say yes under pressure, manipulation, fear, or ignorance. The illusion of choice can be more dangerous than the absence of it. When you think you're free, but you're actually trapped, the fall is much deeper. Survivors of trauma often say they didn't even know what they were walking into. They just wanted to be liked, accepted, or safe. They thought going along would make things easier. But their yes was taken as a license to violate, to exploit, to destroy. And once that line was crossed, they were no longer seen as human beings, but as objects. And when objects scream, no one listens. The Quran is not silent on this matter. In fact, it exposes it with ruthless clarity. It speaks of Pharaoh, who convinced his people to obey, and they did. It speaks of Satan, who whispered to Adam and Eve, and they listened. It speaks of nations who followed their leaders into destruction simply because they feared questioning authority. And every time, it reminds us, you will be questioned about your choices, even when the world doesn't care. Even when your screams are silenced here, they will be heard there. Even when your pain is dismissed now, it will be counted then. Nothing is forgotten, nothing is erased, nothing is lost. When people say, I just said yes, The Quran responds with, "Did you ask me first? Did you seek truth before you surrendered to comfort?" Because truth is not always comfortable, but it is always liberating. The silence that follows a corrupted yes is the silence of shame, of regret, of helplessness. It's a silence that eats the soul from within. Victims often don't scream outwardly because they've already died inwardly. And society rarely helps because it doesn't want to see its own role in the deception. But the Quran sees it and it calls it out. It doesn't romanticize obedience. It doesn't glorify blind faith. It demands awareness, responsibility, courage. When Prophet Ibrahim questioned the stars, the moon, and the sun, refusing to say yes to anything but the one true God, he was teaching us that saying yes is holy only when it's rooted in truth. Anything else is slavery, no matter how polite or elegant it looks. There's a line in the Quran that says, "And do not follow that of which you have no knowledge. Indeed, the hearing, the sight, and the heart, about all those one will be questioned." This is not just religious instruction, it's a warning, a deep, divine warning that every part of you that said yes without knowing will one day be called to the witness stand. Your ears, your eyes, your heart, they will testify. They will say, "She heard the lie, but stayed silent. He saw the signs, but ignored them. They felt the discomfort, but said yes anyway." And that's when the screams that no one heard on earth will echo in eternity. But even more chilling is this. What if your body is screaming, but you've trained yourself not to listen? That's what trauma does. That's what deception does. It numbs your senses until you can't even hear your own soul crying out for help. You become a prisoner in your own flesh, and the key was the yes you gave at the beginning. But there's hope. Because in the same Quran that warns, there is also mercy. Mercy for those who wake up. Mercy for those who realize their yes was manipulated. Mercy for those who were tricked, trapped, and silenced. Because the Quran is not just a book of rules. It's a rescue rope, a light in a dark room, a voice that never stops listening, even when the whole world has gone deaf. In science, especially in neurology, we now understand that the brain changes after trauma. The neural pathways that carry trust, emotion, fear, and survival, they literally rewire based on how we're treated. A single event, one decision, one moment of consent under duress can reshape the brain's chemistry forever. But even in that, the Quran aligns. It tells us that remembrance of God brings hearts to peace. It tells us that turning back to truth can heal even the deepest wounds. Scientists are only beginning to understand the healing power of faith, of prayer, of recitation, of tears spilled before a God who listens. So when someone says, "I just said yes, and after that my screams were silenced," they are not just describing an event, they are revealing a crack in the human soul, a crack where fear, shame, and darkness live. But they're also revealing a doorway. A moment where healing can begin, where they can say, "That was the last yes I gave blindly. From now on, I seek light before I surrender. From now on, I ask the Creator before I trust the creation." Because that's what the Quran invites us to. Not blind faith, but awakened living. Not silence and suffering, but screaming toward the sky, knowing the one above always hears, always knows, always sees. And that's what makes this keynote so profound. It's not about victimhood, it's about transformation, about rising from the silence, finding your voice again, and realizing that God never needed your screams to know you were hurting. He knew before you did. He knew when you whispered yes. He knew when the tears came later. And He sent you a message in His book to say, "I was there. I am here. And I will not let your pain be wasted." So if you've ever whispered yes in fear, in confusion, or in desperation, and then found your voice stolen, your dignity crushed, or your soul aching in silence, know this: you are not alone and you are not forgotten. The pain that no one acknowledged, the cries that never echoed back, the moments that seemed invisible to the world, they were all seen, heard, and recorded by the one who misses nothing. The Quran doesn't just reveal miracles in nature or secrets of science. It exposes the human heart and the traps it can fall into. It warns you, it protects you, and then when you've fallen, It lifts you. The silence after your yes wasn't the end. It was the beginning of your awakening. And through that awakening, you can reclaim your voice, your soul, and your path. So let the world hear now what it refused to hear then. Let your truth rise through the ashes of that moment. Because now you know, not every yes is safe, but every return to God is. May your journey ahead be guided by clarity, strength, and divine protection. May your heart never again be silenced by fear and your soul never again be trapped by a deceptive yes. You are stronger now, wiser, braver, and surrounded by truth. Thank you for listening. Thank you for surviving. And thank you for choosing to rise. Good luck on your path forward, and may the one who hears all hear you always.